Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. Imagine being trapped in absolute darkness, deep beneath the ocean, with no food, no fresh air, and no way out. Your survival depends on nothing but a pocket of air and the hope that somehow, against all odds, someone will find you before time runs out. This isn't a story of fiction, it's the true, astonishing tale of a man who defied the impossible. In 2013, a routine day at sea turned into a nightmare for Harrison Okene, a tugboat chef whose world was swallowed by the Atlantic Ocean. But what happened next left even seasoned rescue teams speechless. Stay with me as we unravel one of the most incredible survival stories ever recorded. In 2013, the world was stunned by the astonishing survival story of tugboat chef Harrison Okene. Okene's day began like any other, preparing meals for his colleagues on board, but as the weather turned stormy, disaster struck. The tugboat overturned and started rapidly filling with water, plummeting 30 feet to the depths of the ocean. Okene was found 3 days later at the bottom of the sea, and somehow, miraculously, he was still alive. This is the incredible true story of one man's struggle to survive against the odds and the strength of the faith that got him through it. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Harrison Okene, a cook from Warri, Nigeria, led a simple life working aboard the tugboat Jackson 4. His duties included preparing meals for his fellow crew members as they navigated the Atlantic Ocean. In May 2013, a routine day at sea turned into a nightmare. The Jackson 4 was part of a fleet towing an oil rig back to land. Tugboats often encounter rough waters, but this particular storm proved catastrophic. Around 5 a.m., Okene was in the bathroom when disaster struck. A powerful wave hit the vessel, and within moments the tugboat began sinking rapidly. "I was on the toilet when the vessel just started going down," Okene recalled. The speed of the descent left no time to react. Fighting his way out of the bathroom, he saw crew members attempting to reach the emergency exit hatch. Before they could escape, a surge of water swept through the ship, carrying 3 men into the ocean's depths. Helplessly, Okene watched his colleagues vanish into the darkness. Amid the chaos, another wave swept Okene away. Instead of being pulled out to sea, he was forced into another passageway. Moments later, the vessel crashed onto the seabed more than 30 meters below the surface. Okene found himself in a small air pocket inside another bathroom. Miraculously, he was still breathing. The reality of his situation dawned on him. He was alone, surrounded by darkness, cold water, and the looming threat of suffocation. "I was crying and calling on Jesus to rescue me," he said. Hungry, thirsty, and terrified, he clung to hope. Okene's survival instincts kicked in. He climbed onto an overturned wash basin to keep his head above the steadily rising water. Knowing he needed more height, he summoned the courage to leave the bathroom and explore the adjacent cabin. There, he found pieces of wall paneling, which he used to construct a makeshift raft. The raft allowed him to stay out of the icy water and conserve energy. Preserving oxygen became his next challenge. Every breath mattered, and Okene focused on staying as still as possible to avoid depleting the limited air in his pocket. He regulated his breathing, alternating between prayer and sheer determination. With nothing else to do, Okene waited, holding on to the hope of a miracle. At such depths, low oxygen levels are quickly replaced by nitrogen, which could lead to poisoning. Experts believe that nitrogen poisoning causes disorientation, panic, and ultimately death. Lost and freezing in total darkness, Okene clung desperately to life. "I was there in the water, in total darkness, thinking it's the end," he recalled. The salt water had stripped the skin off his tongue, and he was ravenously hungry and thirsty. His only solace was a small bottle of Coke he managed to find. Despite his dire circumstances, Okene relied on his unwavering faith in God. A devout Christian, he prayed continuously and recited a psalm his wife had sent him. His hope for a miracle kept him going as he thought of his wife, Akpovona, and their plans to start a family. Reflecting on his life and blessings gave him the strength to hold on. 60 hours passed, and Owen remained alive at the ocean floor. Suddenly he heard a faint sound, hammering on the vessel's deck. Boom, 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 he recalled. Unsure if it was real or imagined, he acted swiftly. Finding a water filter, he began hammering on the walls, hoping someone would hear him. Owen's desperate cries for help coincided with a rescue team's search for bodies in the wreckage. Divers had already recovered 4 bodies and were concluding their mission when they heard faint hammering. Stunned by the sound, they ventured deeper into the murky wreck, illuminating the pitch-black interior with their headlamps. As the divers swept through the corridors, Owen could see the light from one of their head torches passing him. He was desperate to attract their attention, but he was so exhausted he could barely lift his arms. Miraculously, for some unknown reason, the diver returned to the same spot. Owen was more terrified now than ever before. He knew he had to muster all his strength and not let this moment go by. But at the same time, he was worried that any sudden movement might startle the divers so much that they could mistake him for a predator and attack him. Owen forced himself to stay still, careful not to alarm any of the search team. But then, he gathered up what remained of his courage and decided to try carefully to get their attention again. Weak from days without food or water, Owen had to use the last of his remaining energy to swim towards the diver. He still could not get his attention, so he reached out and tapped him on the back of the neck. The diver turned around in horror. Owen reached out his hand towards him, but it was so swollen from days in the water that it barely looked like a hand anymore. Once the diver spotted Okene's hand reaching out, he turned to his microphone, reporting to the rescue ship above. But then he realized how very wrong he was. As the diver approached to touch the dead hand, it touched him back. When he brought his hand close to me, I pulled on his hand, Owen said. You can hear the amazed reaction of the rescue team from the live video footage. He's alive! He's alive! They exclaimed in shock. Once the search team had realized that they had found a survivor, they were truly rejoicing in this unprecedented miracle. Of course, once the shock had worn off and they realized that they had found someone impossibly alive in the depths of the ocean, emotions quickly turned to joy and amazement. Even though he had now been discovered, there was still a way to go before Owen could really be safe. The rescue team was worried that the excitement of being rescued would cause him to panic and hyperventilate. They weren't just concerned about his feelings, but because he had been in such a nitrogen-high environment, it was likely that he had absorbed potentially lethal amounts. Raising your heart rate while in this state is incredibly dangerous and can be fatal. So for the rescue team, keeping Owen calm was literally a matter of life or death. Fortunately, the rescue team, both under the water and above in the search panel, were incredible at keeping Owen calm and positive and talked him through the rescue process. The diver's video footage is incredibly emotional, showing the team leader talking calmly and kindly to Owen, putting him at ease, even though he himself was also in a huge amount of shock. The leader chatted to Owen, asked him his name, and reassured him he would be fine now. After realizing that he was alive, the team gave him some hot water. Owen felt sure that he knew why. Having spent so much time in the pressurized container, his heart had slowly filled with gas, meaning that it was no longer able to cope with the air conditions above the water. The return of Owen to the surface and outside world had to be done in several separate, careful stages. First, the rescue team strapped him into diving equipment, including a mask to help him breathe underwater. Then, they led him through the water into a diving bell. The diving bell returned this miraculous man to the surface, but he had to go immediately into a decompression chamber. Owen spent 2 days in the chamber, where his heart eventually returned to normal levels. Soon enough, the miraculous survival and rescue story of Harrison Owen spread around the world. Readers and experts across the globe were in equal parts astonished and inspired by the unprecedented miracle. The miracle of Okene's rescue and the strength of his faith in overwhelming darkness is an inspiration to us